Hey everyone, welcome back to Those Fake Nerds. I'm your host Brian, and today I want to talk about the ROG Xbox Ally X, as we finally have pricing. Also the ROG Xbox Ally, of course, but the Ally X is really the one with the high price point and the better specs. So, first and foremost, this year I've gotten very into handheld gaming. The Steam Deck has been an absolute revelation for my gaming habits, and when I heard that there was going to be an official partnership console between ROG and Xbox, I was quite excited because I love my Xbox. I know Xbox has kind of fallen on hard times as far as people are concerned. The PlayStation brand has really won the console war, and then if you're going to have an alternative console to that, you're probably going to buy a Switch, or a Switch 2 in this case, now that that's out. But I've always been a big Xbox supporter. I've always been someone who's gravitated towards it, from saving up in 8th grade to for buying a 360 to getting into the next gen console generation with the Xbox Series S, which at the time was like discounted to $250. Now prices have increased quite a bit. I think it's like $450, which is not worth it for what you get out of it, especially when, you know, hopefully the prices will come back down in a few years. But I do wonder if part of the reason why Microsoft raised the prices of their other consoles was to make the price of the ROG Ally X and ROG Ally more, I guess, approachable. Stop beating around the bush here. The Xbox ROG Ally X with 24 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage is $999. The ROG Ally with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage is $599. So I think that'll probably be the more popular of the two, but either way, both of these are priced extremely high. Too rich for my blood, to be honest, despite my excitement for it, despite the promise of Game Pass being on it and all of my years of games that I've bought on the Xbox ecosystem right now. That's too expensive. And I think that it's even harder when you have the Steam Deck, which, you know, can also do streaming with the GeForce Now, and you can have a lot of your Xbox games through that. If you have a decent enough internet connection and $20 a month to spend, you can have access to your Xbox library. I think that, you know, this is just so much money, and it makes me disappointed, and perhaps it'll prove to be worth it. Perhaps this will be the way to go for Xbox for the future. I mean, it certainly feels like they're pushing people away from the consoles in the direction of the handheld, but I think where Steam is able to position themselves as a, you know, a bit of a loss leader, in the sense that they're like, okay, well, we'll give away our handheld console for relatively cheap in order to get people into the ecosystem where we're going to make the real money off of the sales on Steam. I had hoped that Xbox would be similar, in the sense that they're like, okay, we're going to perhaps take a bit of a loss on the handheld console, but we're going to get people into our ecosystem. They're going to either buy games or subscribe to Game Pass, and that's where we're really going to make the money. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I mean, perhaps this is still taking a loss at $1,000 and at $600 for the less impressive version, but good lord, this is just an expensive console. we'll have to wait, of course, until it's available. It's in the hands of players. It's available October 16th. I'm sure reviewers have it right now, and they're testing it out, and they'll let us know how good it is. But yeah, at first glance, I was sticker shocked, to be sure. And listen, I get it. Things are expensive to make, but also everything's expensive for the average consumer. And, I did a video about this on the main channel, Wiki Everything, about video games being too expensive. It's one of the first things that go by the wayside when you're trying to budget. Like, video games are not something that people need, just something that's nice to have. And I do think that this is too expensive for a handheld, and I think they're going to run into issues. Maybe in a few years when it's discounted, I'll pick one up. But, barring this channel or my main channel, Wicked Everything, blowing up to the point where I'm being sent something like this, I just can't imagine spending the money on something like this at the moment. It's just too expensive. But I've rambled long enough about this. What do you think? Is this too expensive? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think that this is reasonable price, either the X or the regular Ally version, and you're going to be buying it. I don't think they're having trouble selling it right away, which, is impressive. But yeah, just love to hear your thoughts about all of this in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.